And what is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and we're back here for the 44th episode in this Royal Rumble recap and review series. I also do apologize. I realized when I added review onto the graphics for the introductions for this year's men's and women's matches, I forgot to put recap and review, because it's not a review of the whole Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's just the specific Royal Rumble match that we're talking about. But anyways, we're going to do the second Rumble match from 2024, which was the men's Royal Rumble match. As I said back in my women's Rumble match, I definitely like the women's match a little bit better than the men's from 2024. I just feel like the men's didn't really have many moments that I'm going to remember. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but nothing really happened, and there were even some spots I felt like they really missed a chance to progress in some storytelling. Such as right off the bat with the first two entrants in the Rumble match, which I, of course, will mention in just a second who those people are. But first, let's get the preliminaries out of the way and give the pre-details that this Rumble once again took place on January 27th, 2024 at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Stipulation, of course, is the number one contendership. The winner could challenge any of the world champions for a title match at Wrestlemania 40. We get right into it. The number 1 and 2. First one, main event, Jey Uso. When that happened, you had the feeling that Jimmy was coming out next. And he did. This is one thing that kind of bothered me about this Rumble. They really didn't do... And that's the thing, too. I keep mentioning this. What caused their WrestleMania match to flop is the fact, again, that Jimmy had absolutely no heat. During this time, Jimmy Uso was booked like a chump. I'm sorry, I've been saying that for the longest time. He never felt like a threat to Jey at all. If they would have done some stuff like they were at the beginning with Jimmy showing up on Raw and costing Jey his tag titles like he did when Jey and Cody were briefly tag team champions and other things, like even like have them interact in this Rumble more, one eliminate the other or something like that, I don't know, but they didn't. They just have this awkward stare down with Jimmy giving Jey this real look, this weird look. And then it's like here and there, they would just run into each other. Jimmy was like just trying to form random alliances with guys who were just like, I want nothing to do with you. And again, just looked like an idiot, having absolute zero heat. When Paul Heyman told Jimmy to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, I just wanted to laugh it off. Like, there's no way in hell he's going to do it. Definitely not. So yeah, that was one thing that really bothered me about this Rumble, is that they did zero storyline progression in Jimmy versus Jey. They just stared down, threw a few punches, no storytelling. I don't get why. I don't understand why they just put off on so much storytelling with the build for that match at WrestleMania. But they were the first two to start off. The third person to come out was Grayson Waller, who was trying to pull off doing an episode of the Grayson Waller effect while making his entrance. And then number 4, well, okay, here's one nice surprise we had. Number 4 was the returning Andrade, as he had just finished up with his contract with AEW at the end of 2023, and he returned back in the Royal Rumble as I expected. New theme song and everything. He's had some solid performances since coming back, so it was definitely good to see Andrade back. I still wish it would give him back the CN Almas part of his name. That makes him very unique, but he's still just Andrade. Blah. We then had number 5, we had Carmelo Hayes, which he was still a face at the time. This was shortly before he turned heel in NXT, but he was briefly appeared on SmackDown, and he was officially called up in the draft in the first round of the draft on SmackDown. Got drafted to SmackDown. So this was his first Rumble appearance, which was cool to see. I'm definitely very high on Carmelo Hayes. And then he also eliminated Grayson Waller from the match. Pretty early elimination, but that's fine. Number 6 is Shinsuke Nakamura, who was just finishing up a feud with Cody Rhodes at the time. Number 7 was Santos Escobar, which at the time he had a lot of heat on him for taking out Rey Mysterio. And again, I don't want to take away from WrestleMania 40 and keep pointing out the bads, but unfortunately, I thought his tag match with Dominic versus Rey and Andrade at WrestleMania was also kind of a flop, because of the fact that they tried to incorporate the players from the Philadelphia Eagles into the match as well, which I just felt like that this match was not the match to do it. Just my opinion, though. But we had that, and then we had Karrion Kross come out at number 8. This was right around the time when Karrion Kross just debuted his new stable, The Final Testament. I still think they should have waited till after WrestleMania to do that, if I'm being honest. But they didn't, but he was in this match. Number 9 was Dominic Mysterio. Number 10 was Carlito. This is when Carlito was still a face, and he was with the LWO before he had turned heel as being revealed as the mystery attacker who took Dragon Lee out of the match for WrestleMania, because he was supposed to be Rey Mysterio's tag team partner originally. And then Carlito was in a long-time rivalry with Santos Escobar in revenge for Rey Mysterio, and he got some revenge on Escobar, eliminating him. Number 11 was the almighty Bobby Lashley, which, again, Bobby Lashley, for some reason, he was never in the Rumble matches long when he was in WWE. Why? I don't know. But he came out number 11. He eliminated Carlito, and he also eliminated Karrion Kross, because the Pride and Final Testament were feuding going into WrestleMania, and they had that Philadelphia street fight. After Lashley eliminated Kross then came out on the outside and pulled him off the apron and eliminated him, which led to the Final Testament and the Pride brawling all over the ramp. And during this time, Ludwig Kaiser made his entrance as he entered the Rumble as a singles competitor. Was this I think this might have been before they had them turn on Giovanni Vinci, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember for sure, but it could have been. But yeah, Ludwig comes out, just like scouring around all the madness, like, I want nothing to do with this and whatnot. Number 13 was Austin Theory. Number 14 was Finn Balor, and he eliminated Carmelo Hayes. Number 15, coming in half of the way earlier than he did the previous year, but number 15 was the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Came out at number 15, and he would immediately eliminate Austin Theory. Number 16 was Big Bronson Reed. He went in there and he eliminated Andrade. Number 17 was the only New Day member to appear in this Rumble, Kofi Kingston. Unfortunately, it was kind of pointless. I think they've given up on the days of Kofi Kingston and his fabulous saves. The last few he has botched, so there really is no point, if I'm being honest, to Kofi being in the Rumble, unless he's trying to break the record for how many appearances there are, of course, in these Rumble matches. But yeah, Kofi came out at number 17, and then Cody Rhodes will eliminate his current rival, Shinsuke Nakamura, and then Kofi would then eliminate Ludwig Kaiser. As Kaiser got eliminated, though, out came the previous year's runner-up, who was still the Intercontinental Champion at the time in the midst of his 666-day title reign, Gunther. Came out number 18. And, of course, he did kind of, like, talk a little bit of trash to Ludwig Kaiser for getting eliminated. But he got in there and he eliminated Kofi Kingston. Number 19 was Ivar, who was in the midst of a singles run since Eric was out with an injury. Now, this one was interesting. Number 20 was Braun Breaker. Now, originally, this was supposed to be when Brock Lesnar entered the Rumble. He was supposed to return at this Rumble and set up for a match at Elimination Chamber with Dominic Mysterio. Rumors were. And then he would go on to face Gunther for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. But this was just a few days after the latest allegations and the Janelle Grant case came about on Vince McMahon. And we all know Brock Lesnar's name was mentioned as part of Vince used some of the tactics he was accused of to get Brock Lesnar rehired. So yeah, again, it sounds like some things have been resolved, not everything. I don't know the whole story behind it. I don't know if Brock is ever going to come back. But long story short, this was supposed to be Brock's spot in the Rumble match. And when he was pulled from the Rumble, they instead had Bron Breakker, which kind of surprises me that they weren't going to have Bron in the match either way. He should have been, in my opinion. But he was in the match, and for filling in for Brock Lesnar, they booked him perfectly. So they had him come in there, and he would eliminate Jimmy Uso, who again barely did any interactions with his brother Jay. And he also eliminated Finn Balor from Judgment Day. Number 21. I can't remember if we saw him at the Honor the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, or if this was his only appearance of the past year. You know, I'm seeing some things that he's doing some stuff in Japan recently, if I'm not mistaken. But number 21 was Omos. And we all know I was never the biggest fan of Omos. This is when MVP, I think, was still with the company, so he was still still his manager. But he had barely been seen on TV since he became a free agent. But he would eliminate Bronson Reed, and then Bron Breakker would then eliminate Ivar. Number 22, this kind of pissed me off. Number 22 was Pat McAfee, as I figured at some point he would be appearing in a Rumble match. But he then gets onto the ropes, and the people who are staring him down are Bron Breakker and Omos. And Pat McAfee eliminates himself and runs away from the match. I didn't like that, because Pat McAfee is a face commentator. People love Pat McAfee. Doing that made him look like a scaredy cat. I'm sorry, I hated that. If it was heel Pat McAfee when he feuded with Adam Cole, then I would have taken that. But I didn't like how they did that. Yes, I get it. It's Omos and Bron Breakker. Speed and height. I get it. But still, I didn't like how they booked that for Pat. That didn't make him look good at all. But following that, after Pat McAfee eliminated himself, number 23 was JD McDonough. And Bron Breakker would then eliminate Omos. But then Dirty Dominic Mysterio would then eliminate Bron Breakker. So like I said, Braun basically replaced Brock Lesnar in this match. And I thought, he was a good fit to replace him, and he had a believable dominating performance, as Braun should be having. So that worked out very well. Of course, Braun would come to the main roster. Originally get signed to SmackDown, but then get drafted to Raw when the draft came around after WrestleMania. But yeah, definitely one of the bright spots this Rumble, though, was Bron Breakker's appearance. And then Braun was actually eliminated as JD McDonough was making his entrance. So while JD was making his entrance, Braun decides to spear him for the heck of it. Yeah. And then R-Truth came out number 24. And we remember R-Truth originally came out number 24 during the Women's Royal Rumble. And then he comes out. He then tosses JD McDonough into the ring. And then JD immediately gets eliminated by Jey Uso. And then R-Truth gets on the apron, asking Dominic, as he calls him, instead of Dominic Mysterio, to tag him in. And then Dom does, in fact, tag him in, and then R-Truth does Cena's 5 moves of doom, because he claims that John Cena's his childhood hero. And again, it's funny because R-Truth is older than John Cena. But, it's truth. It's meant to be goofy. It's meant to be funny. It works. But yeah, Truth had a couple good moments. Number 25 was The Miz. And then I guess Miz went to eliminate Dom, But R-Truth decided to save Dirty Dom, and this is before they reformed Awesome Truth for WrestleMania. So Truth saved Dom. And then number 26 was Damian Priest, and he was still a heel at the time, and he was still Senior Money in the Bank, and him and Finn Balor were the current tag team champions. But Priest got rid of Truth. Number 27, I forgot to mention at the beginning, this was the first live televised match for CM Punk since Royal Rumble 2014, as he made his return, of course, at Survivor Series 2023. He says he wanted to wait till Rumble, but they said Survivor Series had to be the night, because that was in his hometown. Number 27 was CM Punk, and honestly, he was my pick to win this Rumble. And then, Punk would eliminate Dominic Mysterio. Number 28, and this was also his last Rumble, because he would leave the company last summer, is Ricochet, who is now in AEW, attacking Swerve, struggling with a pair of scissors. Golden scissors, to be exact. Gunther would then eliminate The Miz. Number 29 was Drew McIntyre. He's number 29. And Gunther would then eliminate Jey Uso, which Jey was actually in this Rumble match the longest out of everyone, at 50 minutes and 55 seconds. And then number 30 was a returning Sami Zayn, who I don't believe he had been seen since Drew wrote him off TV after Survivor Series. Originally, for all the injuries, I think the plan was for Sami Zayn to fight Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. But, of course, that didn't happen. Drew fought for Seth's world title, and Sami fought Gunther for his Intercontinental Championship. But he came out, that's the first person he went after. But then, we would then have McIntyre eliminate Ricochet, and then Sami eliminate Damian Priest. But then Drew McIntyre would then eliminate Sami Zayn. Now the final four, which the match went on for about 15-20 minutes after this. The final four, though, were Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre. And they really took their time with these last four. Punk would eliminate Drew McIntyre. But of course, earlier when Drew first got in, we all know CM Punk injured his tricep off of the Future Shock DDT. But yet, then again, Punk still finished the match. And I wouldn't have known he was hurt until they said something after the match, that Punk got hurt during the match. But Punk would eliminate McIntyre. And of course, that would also kind of be a seed planter for their upcoming feud as well. So that happened. And then it came down to just Cody, Punk, and Gunther. And then eventually, though, after long sequences, Gunther was then eliminated by Cody Rhodes. So the final two, which Punk said in the Go Home episode of Raw, I hope after this Sunday we can still be friends. But it came down to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And of course, there is the classic moment of when Punk had Rhodes down, and Punk, which, people say may have been teasing the heel turn. I don't know if that was the case, but Punk just yells out in the middle of the ring, I didn't come back to lose to Dusty's kid. But after many back and forth sequences, which Triple H likes those, I guess, for the men's Royal matches, because we had a good back and forth with Gunther and Cody the year before, Cody Rhodes becomes one of the rare people in WWE history to win back-to-back Royal Rumble matches, eliminates CM Punk, and we all know where it went after that. Oh man, he immediately gets onto the rope after pointing to the WrestleMania sign. He then gets up and points up into the box where we see Roman Reigns was chilling up there. But then, of course, we all know Cody, the story with Cody and The Rock and whatnot, and Seth got involved too after that. And just the craziness it was of how they made that build a lot different than the year before. But that does it, guys. That is the review of the men's 2024 Royal Rumble match. Again, if I gave it a grade, I'm going to stick with the same grade I gave it last year, a B-. It wasn't horrible. Had a couple spots, but they also missed out on some things. Again, the big one still is there was no storytelling progression with Jimmy and Jey Uso. I also didn't like how they made Pat McAfee look like a coward. I didn't like that at all. But I did like Bron Breakker's performance. It was great seeing Andrade come back. Let me see here. Anybody else? Carmelo Hayes was a nice surprise in there as well. R-Truth, is being a little bit goofy in there. Always makes it fun. CM Punk's first televised match in 30 years. And again, the last 20 minutes with the Final Four was definitely, very competitive. But, it is what it is. Jey Uso had the longest time with 50 minutes and 55 seconds. Cody Rhodes and Bron Breakker each tied for the most eliminations for this match with 4 apiece. And then the total duration of this Rumble was 1 hour and 8 minutes and 25 seconds. And again, the winner was Cody Rhodes. And we all know he went on to fight Roman Reigns and The Rock, of course, also at WrestleMania 40. So guys, what are your thoughts on this Rumble match? Leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. And be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well, The Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok. I'm sorry, you can't follow me on TikTok anymore because TikTok has been banned as of this recording. So, as I'm going to be advertising, I still got to take it off of the outro. You can only follow me now on Twitter, The Club of the Man 93, and on Instagram at The Club of the Man 1993. Maybe next year when we do this, maybe we will get back to TikTok. But either way, like I said, I want to take a break from TikTok anyways, so whatever. Twitter and Instagram, subscribe, like the video. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your day, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!